Blood. It was everywhere. On the floor, on my hands, smeared across the walls like a grotesque painting. My breath came in short, shallow gasps as I tried to process what I was seeing. The dim alley behind the old warehouse smelled of damp concrete and iron, the unmistakable stench of death. And then the impossible happened. The dead man moved. His eyes fluttered open, and a strangled gasp escaped his lips. My body turned to ice as he reached out toward me, his fingers trembling. His throat gurgled as if he was trying to speak, but all that came out was a wheezing croak. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. I took a step back, my foot slipping in the puddle of his blood. My mind screamed at me to run, but my body was frozen. The man's lips moved again, but no sound came. Then, his eyes locked onto mine, and in them, I saw something I hadn't expected. Fear, not of death, of something else. Before I could react, the sound of approaching footsteps made my stomach drop. Someone was coming. The alley was dark, but I could make out the silhouettes. 2 figures moving. Fast, my heart pounded against my ribs. If they saw me here standing over this man covered in his blood, they'd think I did it. I glanced down again, and the man's fingers twitched once before going limp. His eyes, still open, stared past me, to nothingness. This time he was truly gone, but how I had seen him die. And then I had seen him come back. And now, he was dead again. The footsteps got closer. I had 2 choices: run, or face the consequences. And before I could decide, a voice echoed through the alley, sharp and accusing. "Hey, you there. Step away from the body." I should have never been here. My name is Noah Carter, and I'm not a detective, a criminal, or some kind of hero. I'm just a freelance investigative journalist who got too curious for his own good. A week ago, I was digging into a case, a string of missing persons, all tied to one name, Adrian Voss. The guy was a shadow, a ghost, a name, whispered in back alleys but never spoken in boardrooms. Some said he was a corporate giant. Others swore he was the mastermind behind a syndicate no one dared to cross. I was stupid enough to chase the story. And now, here I was, standing over a dead man who had just come back to life, only to die again. But this wasn't just some random crime scene. This was a warning. I had been following a lead, tracking a source who swore they had evidence against Voss. An informant named Elias Turner, a mid-level fixer who knew too much. He was the man lying in that alley, and now he was dead. The worst part, I was supposed to meet him tonight. This wasn't a coincidence. Someone wanted me to see this, someone wanted to send a message, and the blood on my hands. It wasn't just Elias Turner's, it was mine. Because my name was next on the list. I wasn't just investigating a story anymore. I had become part of it. I should have never been here. My name is Zayn Mercer, and I'm not a detective, a criminal, or some kind of hero. I'm just a freelance investigative journalist who got too curious for his own good. A week ago, I was digging into a case, a string of missing persons, all tied to one name, Lucian Vale. The guy was a shadow, a ghost, a name whispered in back alleys but never spoken in boardrooms. Some said he was a corporate giant. Others swore he was the mastermind behind a syndicate no one dared to cross. I was stupid enough to chase the story, and now, here I was, standing over a dead man who had just come back to life, only to die. Again. But this wasn't just some random crime scene. This was a warning. I had been following a lead, tracking a source who swore they had evidence against Vale. An informant named Ronan Cade, a mid-level fixer who knew too much. He was the man lying in that alley, and now he was dead. The worst part, I was supposed to meet him tonight. This wasn't a coincidence. Someone wanted me to see this. Someone wanted to send a message, and the blood on my hands? It wasn't just Ronan Cade's. It was mine, because my name was next on the list. I wasn't just investigating a story anymore. I had become part of it. I had two choices: run or explain. The voices in the alley were getting closer, their shadows stretching against the damp brick walls. My heart pounded, my mind racing through every possible explanation. No one would believe me. Not the police, not my editor, and definitely not whoever had left Ronan Cade bleeding out in front of me. This was a setup, a perfect one. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness, landing directly on me. Hands where I can see them. I froze. Two men in dark tactical gear emerged from the shadows, guns raised. But they weren't cops. No badges, no standard issue. Weapons. Private security. Which meant this wasn't an arrest. It was something worse. They weren't here to question me. They were here to clean up loose ends. I took a slow step back, my hands lifting instinctively. Think, Zayn. Think. My phone was in my pocket, but one wrong move and they'd put a bullet in me before I could even reach for it. One of the men, a tall, broad figure with a shaved head, spoke first. "You're not supposed to be here." I swallowed. Hard. I was just... "Wrong place, wrong time," he interrupted, voice dripping with skepticism. "You expect us to believe that?" I glanced down at Ronan Cade's body. His lips were slightly parted, eyes still open. A streak of blood ran down, from his temple to his jaw. He had tried to say something before he died. What was it? Who had done this? The second man, leaner, more restless, tapped his gun against his thigh. Lucien Vale doesn't like when people dig too deep. A chill ran through me. They knew why I was here. Lucien Vale, the man I had been investigating, the man Ronan had promised me dirt on. If these guys worked for him, then Ronan hadn't just been a random casualty. He was silenced, and now they were deciding whether to do the same to me. I had to think fast. "Look," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I didn't see anything. I was just supposed to meet him, that's it. I don't even know what he had on Vale." Shaved head narrowed his eyes. "That's so?" I nodded. It wasn't a total lie. Ronan had been cryptic. "I have something that'll blow your mind," he'd said over the phone. "Meet me midnight alone." And like an idiot, I had come. Gun Tapper exhaled sharply, rubbing his jaw. Vale said no loose ends. Panic surged in my chest. Shaved head gave me one long, measured look, then lowered his gun. "We'll see about that." Before I could react, something heavy crashed into the side of my skull. Pain exploded behind my eyes. The ground tilted, the world blurred, and then darkness. When I came to, my wrists were bound, my head throbbing. I wasn't in the alley anymore. Dimly lit room, Concrete walls, a single flickering bulb. My breathing was ragged as I tried to focus. Where the hell was I? Then I heard it. The slow, deliberate sound of footsteps. A figure stepped into view. Tall, impeccably dressed. Lucian Vale. He didn't look like a man who got his hands dirty. He looked like a man who paid others to do it for him. Zayn Mercer, he said, almost amused. The journalist who doesn't know when to stop. I clenched my jaw. You killed Ronan. Vale tilted his head. Did I? He leaned in slightly. Or did you? My stomach turned. He was setting me up. Before I could respond, he slid a folder across the table toward me. You're in a difficult position, Mr. Mercer. Inside the folder were photos, me at the crime scene, my hands covered in blood. A copy of my emails with Ronan. Fake surveillance. Footage of me entering the alley minutes before the murder. They had built a case against me. An airtight one. Vale sat back, clasping his hands. You have two options, he said smoothly. One, you go down for Ronan's murder. The police will find all the evidence they need and you'll spend the rest of your life behind bars. He smiled. Or two, you work for me. I stared at him, my pulse roaring in my ears. This wasn't just about killing Ronan. This was about control. Lucian. Vale didn't want me dead. He wanted to own me. And I had no idea which was worse. I stared at Lucian Vale, my pulse hammering in my ears. The folder with the fabricated evidence sat between us like a loaded gun. They had built a perfect case. Against me. If I refused to play along, I was done. My hands clenched into fists beneath the table. Ronan Cade was dead, and they were making me the fall guy. But the worst part? I had no one to call, no lifeline to pull me out of this mess. My chest tightened. Fear, I could taste it, bitter and suffocating. Vale leaned forward, his smile cold. You're quiet, Mr. Mercer. Considering your reputation, I expected more of a fight. Fight? What was I supposed to say? That I was scared? That my world had just been flipped upside down? That I had walked into a story I wasn't supposed to survive? I needed time. Time to think. Time to breathe. Time to find a way out. But time was the one thing I didn't have. What do you want from me? My voice barely sounded like my own. Vale's expression didn't change. Loyalty. The word hit me harder than a bullet. Loyalty to what? To him? To a criminal empire that had just destroyed a man and pinned it on me? I swallowed hard. And if I say no? Vale's smile didn't waver. Then you become a cautionary tale, a warning. A body dumped in an alley just like Ronan Cade. My heart pounded against my ribs. I could already see it, my own crime scene. Another journalist who got too close. Another headline no one would really care about. I was running out of moves. I closed my eyes for a second, exhaling slowly. Think, Zayn, think. What did Vale need from me? Why wasn't I dead already? Then it clicked. He wasn't trying to erase me. He was trying to use me. I opened my eyes, meeting his gaze. You don't want my loyalty. Vale's brow lifted slightly. You want my skills. A pause. Then the smallest of nods. I was right. Vale could have killed me in that alley. could have dumped my body next to Ronan's. But he didn't, because I was valuable to him. I was a journalist. I knew how to dig. I knew how to expose people, and maybe, just maybe, that's what Vale wanted. "You want me to take someone down for you?" I said, my voice steadier now. Vale smiled again. "Smart man." I forced myself to keep breathing, keep thinking. If I played this right, I might live long enough to figure a way out. But the weight of the situation was crushing me. The fear, the helplessness, the sickening realization that my life wasn't mine anymore. Everything I had worked for, my career, my integrity, my freedom, was gone in the span of a few hours. And now, I was trapped in a game I didn't understand. Playing for a man I despised. And the worst part? I didn't see a way out. For the next few moments, I sat in suffocating silence, my mind racing. I was trapped, but I wasn't dead. That meant Vale needed me alive. For now, I just had to figure out why. Vale leaned back in his chair, watching me with the patience of a man who already knew he'd won. "You'll do what I ask, Zayn. I suggest you accept that." I hated how calm he was, how sure. I had no choice but to play along, for now. "Fine," I said, forcing my voice to stay even. "Who's the target?" Vale's lips curled into something resembling approval. He slid a sleek black phone across the table. "I'll be in touch." I hesitated, then picked it up. Burner phone. Untraceable. He had planned this from the start. Vale nodded to one of his. "They'd drop him off." And just like that, the meeting was over. The next thing I knew, I was shoved into the back of a black SUV, the city lights blurring past the tinted windows. The goon driving didn't say a word, just dropped me off outside my apartment complex. The moment the car sped away, I exhaled shakily, my legs barely holding me up. I needed to get inside, think, figure out my next move. But the second I stepped toward my building, my phone vibrated. Not the burner Vale gave me. My real phone. I pulled it out and my stomach lurched. One new message, the sender's name made my blood run cold. Ronan Cade. My pulse jackhammered as I stared at the screen. That wasn't possible. Ronan was dead. I saw him die. But the message was real. It was short. 3 words. "Don't trust anyone." My hands shook as I gripped the phone. This had to be a trick. A hacker, a delayed message, something. But then another vibration, another text. "Ronan Cade. Check your email, now." I didn't think. I ran. Inside my apartment, I locked the door, grabbed my laptop, and logged into my email. With frantic fingers. One new message, no sender name, no subject. I clicked it. A single attachment, a video file. I hesitated for a heartbeat, then hit play. Static. Darkness. Then, Ronan Cade's face. My breath caught. It was him. Alive. The timestamp in the corner, recorded 2 hours before he died. He knew he was going to die. Ronan's face was tense, his voice hurried. "If you're seeing this, I didn't make it." My throat tightened. "Vale isn't the real threat," he continued, eyes darting off screen. "He's just a piece of the puzzle. The real power, the real danger goes deeper." A shuffling noise. Ronan's breathing quickened. "Zayn, whatever you do, don't take Vale's deal. He's playing you. And the people above him, if they find out you know the truth, they won't let you live. A loud bang in the background. Ronan flinched. I have proof, he whispered. Everything you need. But you have to. The video cut off. I stared at the screen, my heart hammering so hard it hurt. Proof. Proof of what? Before I could react, another message popped up. Unknown number. We need to talk. Now. Then another. Unknown number. Or you're dead by sunrise. The clock on my wall read 3:42 a.m. My pulse raced faster than the seconds ticking by. I had a choice to make. Ignore the message and hope I survived the night, or meet the unknown sender and find out what Ronan died for. I already knew the answer. I couldn't stop now. I grabbed my jacket, pocketed the burner phone, and left. The city streets were empty, save for flickering street lights and the occasional distant siren. The location from the message led me to a secluded parking garage downtown. Too quiet, too perfect for an ambush. I scanned the area as I stepped inside. No movement, no sounds, just rows of abandoned cars and the hum of fluorescent lights. Then, a shadow shifted near the farthest pillar. I tensed, my hand hovering over my pocket knife. Relax, Mercer. A woman stepped into the dim light. Tall, dark hair tied back, eyes that had seen too much. She wore a black tactical vest, a gun holstered at her side. Who the hell are you? I asked, my voice steady despite the fear gnawing at my gut. She studied me for a second, then said, My name is Eva Calloway. And if you want to live, you'll listen carefully. Eva's voice was low, urgent. Ronan wasn't lying. Lucian Vale isn't the one pulling the strings. He's just a pawn. I clenched my jaw. Then who is? She glanced around before stepping closer. There's an organization, one that operates so deep underground even law enforcement won't touch them. They don't have a name, just a symbol. She pulled a crumpled photo from her pocket and handed it to me. I stared. A black serpent coiled around a dagger, the same symbol that had been tattooed on Ronan Cade's wrist. My blood ran cold. This was bigger than Vale, bigger than a single murder. They control everything, Eva continued. Government contracts, tech firms, private militias, and you? You just stumbled into their web. My breath felt too short, my mind reeling. Why do they care about me? Eva's jaw tightened. Because Ronan sent you something they don't want getting out. I swallowed hard. The proof, the very thing Ronan had died for. Before I could respond, a sharp click echoed behind me, the unmistakable sound of a safety being switched off. That's enough, Eva. My stomach dropped. I knew that voice. I turned slowly. Lucian Vale stood just a few feet away, a pistol aimed at my head. The trap close's eye didn't move, didn't breathe. Eva didn't either. Vale's expression was unreadable, but his grip on the gun was firm. You really don't know when to quit, Mercer. I forced my voice to stay even. You're not the one in control, are you? His eyes flickered. Just for a second. But I saw it. I was right. Vale was just another puppet. You're cleaning up their messes, I said, testing my theory. Because you're just as scared of them as we are. Vale exhaled slowly. You're smarter than I gave you. Credit for. Then without warning, he turned the gun on Eva. Drop your weapon. Eva hesitated. I had to act. I lunged. Vale fired. The gunshot roared in the parking garage, echoing like thunder. Pain seared through my arm as I tackled him, the impact knocking us both to the ground. His gun skidded across the concrete. Eva reacted. Fast, grabbing her own pistol and aiming at Vale. Don't move, she ordered. Vale's lip curled, but he stayed down. I groaned, clutching my arm. The bullet had grazed me, but I was still standing, barely. Eva kicked Vale's gun away, then turned to me. We need to go. Now. But before we could move, Vale chuckled, a sick, knowing laugh. You think you're free? He asked, voice smooth. You have no idea how deep this goes. Eva pulled me to my feet, ignoring him. He's stalling. Let's move. But something about Vale's tone sent a shiver down my spine. They already know where you are, Mercer, he continued. You think you're exposing them? You're playing right into their hands. I stiffened. Eva cursed under her breath. Then headlights flooded the garage, engines roared. Black SUVs screeched to a stop, doors slamming open. Armed men poured out. They had found us. Eva yanked me back. Run! Bullets tore through the air. I didn't. Think I just moved. We sprinted toward the stairwell, gunfire ringing in my ears. I was bleeding, exhausted. But I couldn't stop. Not now. Not when the truth was so close. As we reached the door, I risked one last glance back. Vale was standing in the chaos, a wicked smile on his face, like he had planned this all along. Gunfire rattled behind us as Eva and I bolted through the parking. Garage's stairwell door. Adrenaline burned through my veins, drowning out the pain in my arm. I didn't look back. I couldn't. Footsteps pounded against concrete. Voices shouted orders. They were coming. Eva grabbed my wrist, pulling me forward. This way. We sprinted down a narrow hall, emerging onto a maintenance platform overlooking the city. Below us, a narrow alley stretched between buildings. At the edge of the platform, a rusted fire escape. Eva didn't hesitate. She vaulted over the railing, landing on the metal stairs with a thud. I hesitated. 1 second too long, a bullet ricocheted off the metal beside me. Shit. I scrambled over the edge, barely catching my balance as I hit the fire escape. The metal groaned under my weight, but I didn't stop moving. I couldn't afford to. Behind me, the door burst open. More gunfire. Eva and I took the stairs two at a time, descending until we hit the last platform. The ladder leading to the alley was half rusted, hanging just out of reach. Eva cursed. We jump. I shook my head. She jumped. 5 stories. Straight down. I heard the crash of something breaking, but no scream. No time to think. The door above us slammed open again. I took a breath and jumped. Pain shot through my legs as I hit the ground, crashing onto a dumpster lid before rolling onto the pavement. My ribs ached, my hands stung, but I was alive. Eva was already up, yanking me to my feet. Come on, move! We staggered into the shadows, ducking between abandoned buildings. The gunfire above faded. No sirens, no police, because they didn't need them. The people chasing us weren't law enforcement. They were something worse. We ran for what felt like hours, finally stopping in a deserted backstreet. My body screamed in protest, exhaustion pressing down like a weight. I leaned against a brick wall, trying to catch my breath. Eva wiped blood from her face, her expression grim. "They'll keep coming," I said, voice hoarse. She nodded. "They don't leave loose ends." I swallowed hard. I had always thought the most dangerous thing in my line of work was exposing the wrong people. I had been wrong. The most dangerous thing was becoming a part of the story, and that's exactly what had happened. The burner phone in my pocket vibrated. Eva and I exchanged glances. Pulled it out, half expecting another threat. Instead, it was a message. No sender. No signature, just coordinates. Eva peered over my shoulder. "What is that?" I hesitated. "I don't know, but it's not from Vale." She frowned. "Then who?" I didn't answer, because I had a feeling I already knew Ronan Cade, or more likely, whoever Ronan had trusted before he died. My pulse quickened. This wasn't over, not even close. I turned to Eva. "We find out what's at that location. We get to the truth." She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. And just like that, we had a new target, no more running. This time, we were going after them.